Amina stood across the wide glass entrance of the towering office building, her hands trembling as she rested one gently on her swollen belly. The late afternoon sun reflected off the polished floors inside, making everything look expensive, distant, unreachable. People in suits walked past her without a glance. Some whispered, others stared. She ignored them all. Her eyes were fixed on one man. Daniel. He stood just a few steps away, laughing loudly with a woman clinging to his arm. Sandra's red dress hugged her perfectly, her manicured nails resting possessively on Daniel's chest. She leaned in, whispering something into his ear. Daniel threw his head back and laughed again. Amina swallowed hard and took a step forward. Daniel, she called softly. He turned slowly, his smile fading the moment his eyes landed on her. For a split second, something unreadable flashed across his face. Then it hardened. "What are you doing here?" he asked coldly. Sandra's eyes moved from Amina's face to her stomach. Her lips curled. "Oh," Sandra said mockingly. "Is this the beggar ex-wife you told me about?" Amina ignored her. She looked only at Daniel. "I just need to talk to you, please." Daniel glanced around, noticing the curious stares from his colleagues entering and leaving the building. His jaw tightened. "You have 5 seconds," he said. "Say what you want, and leave." Amina's voice shook. "I lost my job. The landlord locked me out. I haven't eaten properly in days." She paused, her hand tightening on her belly. "I'm pregnant." Sandra burst into laughter. "Pregnant?" She scoffed. "Daniel, did you hear that? She says she's pregnant." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "Don't start with that nonsense." "It's true," Amina whispered. "The baby is yours." For a moment, everything went silent. Then Daniel laughed. "My baby," he said loudly. "Amina, you must think I'm stupid." Sandra leaned closer, her voice dripping with venom. "You probably slept with some roadside mechanic, and now you want to trap my husband." Amina flinched. "I never cheated on you," she said to Daniel. "You know that?" Daniel stepped closer, his voice low and dangerous. "I divorced you because you were weak, because you brought nothing into my life. Don't stand here and embarrass me." "I'm not asking for love," Amina said desperately. "Just help." "The baby there is no baby," Daniel snapped. "And even if there was, I wouldn't want it." Sandra clapped slowly. "Well said, darling." Amina's knees felt weak. The pain in her stomach grew sharper, but she forced herself to stay upright. "Please," she whispered. "I wouldn't be here if I had any other choice." Daniel raised his hand, signaling the security guards near the entrance. "Get her out of here." The guards hesitated, glancing at Amina's belly. "She's causing a scene," Daniel said loudly. "Remove her." As the guards approached, Sandra leaned closer to Amina. "Next time you come begging," she whispered, "try not to look so disgusting." Amina gasped as one guard grabbed her arm. She cried out as a sharp pain shot through her abdomen. "Please," she cried. "I just need a minute." Daniel turned his back on her. As they dragged her away, Amina looked over her shoulder one last time. Daniel was already walking inside, Sandra laughing beside him, her heels clicking confidently on the marble floor. Tears streamed down Amina's face as the glass doors closed behind them. She remembered when those doors once opened for her years ago. Daniel had nothing. He had stood in a small rented room, frustrated, broke, and angry at the world. Amina had been the one working 2 jobs. She had been the one paying rent. She had sold her gold necklace, the only thing her mother left her, so Daniel could attend interviews. "I believe in you," she had told him when he wanted to give up. "One day, they will see your worth." When he got his first promotion, he cried in her arms. When he moved into his first office, she packed his lunch every morning. When Sandra entered his life, everything changed. Sandra was confident, rich, connected. And suddenly, Amina became invisible. The day Amina told Daniel she was pregnant, he didn't smile, he didn't hug her, he stared at her stomach like it was a mistake. "This isn't the right time," he said. "It's our child," Amina replied. "I'm finally building my future," he said coldly. "I won't let you ruin it." That night, Divorce papers appeared on the table. "Sign," he said, "or I'll make sure you regret staying." She signed with shaking hands. Now, standing outside the building, rain began to fall. Amina walked slowly down the street, her dress soaked, her body aching. Each step felt heavier than the last. People rushed past her, shielding themselves from the rain. No one stopped. Her phone buzzed. A message from her landlord. "Your things are outside. Don't come back." Amina's vision blurred. She clutched her stomach as pain ripped through her body. She stumbled, falling to her knees on the wet pavement. "Please," she whispered. "Just let my baby live." Her world began to spin. The last thing she saw was flashing lights and unfamiliar faces hovering above her when she woke up. Bright white lights burned her eyes. The smell of antiseptic filled her nose. A doctor stood at the foot of the bed, flipping through her file. He froze. His eyes widened. He looked at her again. Then at the file. And then he whispered, almost to himself, "This can't be right." Amina tried to sit up, but a sharp pain tore through her lower body and forced her back onto the narrow hospital bed. She gasped, her fingers tightening around the thin white sheet. The room was quiet, except for the steady beeping of a monitor beside her. The doctor was still standing there, his expression unreadable now. Though the shock from moments earlier hadn't completely left his face, "Where am I?" Amina asked weakly. "You're at Goodwill Hospital," the doctor replied, clearing his throat. "You were brought in after collapsing on the street." Amina's eyes widened. Instinctively, her hands moved to her stomach. "My baby," she whispered. "Is my baby okay?" The doctor hesitated. That hesitation felt like a knife to her chest. "Please," she said, panic creeping into her voice. "Tell me the truth. The baby is alive," he said carefully. "But you're under severe stress and malnourished. If you hadn't come in when you did, things could have gone very differently." Tears rolled down Amina's temples, soaking into the pillow. Relief mixed with fear until she couldn't tell which one hurt more. "Thank you," she whispered. The doctor nodded, then glanced again at the file in his hand, as though it was something dangerous. "You should rest. We'll run more tests." As he turned to leave, Amina caught a glimpse of the name printed at the top of the document, but her vision blurred before she could focus on it. Outside the room, the doctor stopped abruptly. A nurse nearly bumped into him. "Doctor," she asked. He lowered his voice. "Call the administrator now. Is there a problem?" "Yes," he said slowly, "and if this file is accurate, this hospital is about to face a very big one." Hours passed. Amina drifted in and out of sleep, her dreams haunted by memories she wished she could forget. Daniel's voice echoed in her head, his laughter, Sandra's cruel smile, the sound of the glass doors closing as she was dragged away like trash. When she woke again, it was dark outside. A soft light glowed near the door. Her throat felt dry, her body heavy. A nurse entered quietly and adjusted her drip. "You're awake," she said gently. "How are you feeling?" "Tired," Amina replied, "and alone." The nurse offered a sad smile. "Do you have anyone we can call for you?" Amina shook her head. No, that wasn't entirely true. There were people she could call, people who once loved her. But pride and fear had kept her silent for too long. The nurse hesitated before leaving. "You're safe here," she said. "Try to sleep." But sleep didn't come easily. Across the city, Daniel sat comfortably in a leather chair inside his office, swirling a glass of expensive whiskey. Sandra perched on the edge of his desk, scrolling through her phone. Can you believe she had the nerve to come there today? Sandra scoffed. Pregnant or not, that was embarrassing. Daniel smirked. She's always been dramatic. Sandra looked up. You don't think she's actually pregnant, do you? He shrugged. Even if she is, it's not my problem. Sandra smiled, satisfied. Good, because once the board confirms your promotion tomorrow, everything changes. We'll finally be untouchable. Daniel raised his glass. To new beginnings, they clinked glasses. Back in the hospital, Amina suddenly felt a wave of nausea. She turned her head, just in time as her body convulsed. Her heart pounded wildly. The monitor beeped faster. A doctor rushed in, followed by 2 nurses. "What's happening?" Amina cried. "Your blood pressure is dropping," one nurse said urgently. "Stay calm. I can't lose my baby," Amina sobbed. "Please. We're doing everything we can," the doctor said firmly, as they worked. One of the nurses glanced at the file again, her eyes widening slightly before she looked away. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, the chaos settled. Amina lay still, exhausted, tears streaking her cheeks. The doctor exhaled slowly. "You're stable, but you need to stay under observation." Amina nodded weakly. "Thank you." After they left, silence returned. But this time, it felt heavier, like the calm before something she couldn't yet see. Early the next morning, footsteps echoed down the hallway. Amina opened her eyes to see 2 well-dressed men stopping outside her room. They spoke in hushed tones. "Is she conscious?" one asked. "Yes," the nurse replied. "But she doesn't know yet." "Good," the other man said. "We need to be careful." Amina's heart raced. She tried to sit up, straining to hear. The door opened. A middle-aged woman entered, her posture confident, her eyes sharp but not unkind. She studied Amina carefully, taking in her pale face, her frail body, the way she protectively held her stomach. "You've been through a lot," the woman said softly. "Who are you?" Amina asked. "My name is Mrs. Adami," the woman replied. "I represent the hospital's board." Amina frowned. "Did I do something wrong?" Mrs. Adami shook her head. "No, but there are things about your situation, that require attention." Amina's chest tightened. "I don't understand." Mrs. Adami glanced at the men behind her, then back at Amina. "There are documents connected to your name, important ones." Amina laughed weakly. "You must be mistaken. I have nothing." Mrs. Adami's gaze softened. "That's what you believe." She placed a folder on the bedside table. Amina stared at it, her hands trembling. "Rest for now," Mrs. Adami said. "We'll talk soon." As they left, Amina's eyes remained locked on the folder. Fear and confusion battled inside her. She didn't open it. Not yet. Outside, Mrs. Adami turned to the men. "If this gets out," she said quietly, "certain people are going to regret the way they treated her." One of the men nodded, especially the ones who think they're powerful. And somewhere across the city, Daniel smiled confidently. Unaware that the ground beneath his feet was already beginning to crack, Amina lay awake long after the visitors had gone, her eyes fixed on the folder resting silently on the small table beside her bed. The thin stack of papers felt heavier than anything she had ever held in her life, even without touching it. Every time she reached toward it, fear pulled her hand back. She had lost so much already. Whatever was inside those pages had the power to either destroy what little hope she had left, or change everything. Outside, the city slowly came alive. Morning light filtered through the blinds, casting pale lines across the floor. Nurses moved in and out of nearby rooms, their footsteps echoing softly down the corridor. Amina finally gathered the courage to sit up. Her body protested, but she ignored the pain and reached for the folder. Her fingers trembled as she opened it. The first page was filled with legal language she didn't fully understand. Company seals, signatures, dates. Her eyes scanned the page until one line made her breath catch her name, Amina Bello. She blinked, convinced exhaustion was playing tricks on her. She read it again, and again, her heart began to pound. She flipped to the next page, and then the next. Each one confirmed the same impossible truth. Ownership, shares, authority. "No," she whispered. "This isn't possible." Her mind raced back to memories she had buried deep. A phone call she had ignored. A letter she never opened. An elderly man who had once called her his daughter, though they shared no blood. A man who had always told her, one day, "You'll understand why I protected you." Her vision blurred as tears filled her eyes. Before she could process any more, the door opened quietly. Mrs. Adami returned, this time alone. She watched Amina's face carefully. "You've seen it," she said. Amina looked up, her voice shaking. "Why does my name appear on these documents?" Mrs. Adayemi pulled a chair closer and sat. Because they are yours. Amina shook her head violently. I'm poor. I have nothing. There must be a mistake. There is no mistake, Mrs. Adayemi said gently. 3 years ago, a private investor acquired controlling shares of several companies, including the parent company of this hospital. Amina swallowed, and that investor listed you as the sole beneficiary. The room spun. But I never agreed to this, Amina said. You didn't need to, Mrs. Adayemi replied. The arrangement was finalized before his death. Amina echoed, but Mrs. Adayemi nodded slowly. Mr. Ibrahim Bello. The name hit her like a wave. Ibrahim. My uncle, Amina whispered. Not by blood, Mrs. Adayemi said, but by choice. He raised you, educated you, and when he discovered your husband's betrayal, he decided to protect you in a way no one else could. Amina covered her mouth, sobbing. He said I should be patient, she cried. He told me everything would be okay. Mrs. Adayemi leaned forward. He never stopped watching over you. Even after you were pushed out of that marriage, Amina's thoughts raced uncontrollably. Does anyone else know? Only a handful of people, Mrs. Adayemi replied, and none of them are the ones who humiliated you. Amina clenched her fists. What happens now? Mrs. Adayemi's eyes hardened slightly. Now, you recover. You protect your child. And when the time is right, you step into your position. Amina shook her head. I can't. I don't belong in that world. Mrs. Adayemi smiled faintly. Neither did they think you belonged in theirs. Silence filled the room. At that same moment, Daniel walked confidently into the boardroom of the very company he believed he was about to dominate. The long table gleamed beneath bright lights. Executives whispered among themselves. Sandra squeezed his hand beneath the table. This is it, she whispered. After today, everything is ours. Daniel straightened his jacket, pride swelling in his chest. Across town, Amina stared down at her belly. Tears falling freely now, from pain, but from something new. Hope, she whispered softly. They don't know yet. Mrs. Adayemi stood and adjusted her jacket. No, she said calmly. They don't. Amina lay back against the pillows, closing her eyes as the weight of the truth settled over her. Her world had not ended at that glass door. It had only been paused, and soon, it would begin again. Far away, Daniel laughed loudly, unaware that the woman he had thrown away was now the storm moving silently toward him.